Okay, hello everybody. Gary Kahler here, and Eddie's going to get to show you a very special guitar here. We got a 1961 Gretsch 6120, which actually belongs to my son-in-law, and that's about it. There's a lot of family history about this. So take it away, Eddie.
How's it going, everybody? Eddie at Kahler, and this time we got something that I just got to tell you has almost nothing to do with Kahler at all, but it does have a Bigsby. And you know what? Way before I ever came to Kahler, I was talking to a friend of mine about Kahlers, and he said, I love Kahlers. It's like if a Floyd and a Bigsby got married and they had a kid, it'd be a Kahler. You really want to see Gary kind of wince, just show him something that you cannot intonate. This guitar is actually owned by a preacher, and I got to tell this guy something. I had to tell him that this is actually the Maloik, and it is something that Ronnie James Dio saw his grandmother do to ward off evil spirits. So it's not every day that you get to talk to a preacher and say, like, you know, evil be gone. He's here, and this thing has a huge amount of family history. So come on up and tell us about it, Randy. And I'm going to take this this wristband off. I'm afraid I'm going to damage the guitar.
Yeah. First of all, Eddie, thank you for looking at the guitar.
Absolutely.
As your audience may or may not know, Gary's my father-in-law and the grandfather of my children, all five of them. And this guitar is a 61, right?
61, yeah.
Gretsch 6120 model, Chet Atkins. We got to put the pick guard back on. Mm-hmm. It was my dad's. He bought it when he was 21 years old in Bakersfield, California. It's been in the family ever since. In fact, the old guitar case that's in the other room, I used to sleep in it when I was a kid. This guitar sat in the attic for 30 years. And
in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas. Amazingly, it's not split or anything, although we did have a swamp cooler in the house, which helps. And I met Gary back in the early 90s when I got married. Well, I later married his daughter, Kimberly, and so forth. And I got exposed to Kahler tremolos, although, believe it or not, I had seen a Kahler stud mount bridge on a Gibson Les Paul. And I said, what in the world is that? Because all I knew of was a Bigsby that was on my dad's old Gretsch. So I had my introduction to Kahlers before I ever met Gary. In fact, I had no idea Gary was Gary Kahler when I went out to see him. But we want to play this guitar at our church. I like the sound of the Gretsches. I'm a fan of Chet Atkins playing. I always liked Chet Atkins a lot. The neck was buzzing. It was reverse bowed.
It had a really, really bad back bow to it. And this was probably about a year and a half or more ago. Before anybody knew I was going to come to work here. Yeah. You brought it over and showed it to me. I loosened up the truss rod and tightened the heck out of the strings. It sat like that for almost 2 years, and that straightened it out. But we needed to move a little bit more, so we're going to put a little bit heavier strings on it. This right here, though, with these cracks, that could be just finish, or it could be something much more serious, because I have met Teresa Topaz, and she's right here in Vegas, even though she's got a long waiting list. I'm going to say, take this to her, because she is the expert. She's the only person Martin will trust to work on their guitars in the entire state. She would do the same for me if somebody had some Hot Rod Steve Vai guitar.
Which you probably have.
Well, oh, yes. No, I do. And it's so funny because you're, a couple months younger than me. Yeah. And you're into Hull Bodies and Chet Atkins, and I'm into Slayer and Steve Vai and things like that. Although I don't imagine that any kind of Slayer decorations would go over well at the church.
Probably not, no.
No.
I'm really appreciating you looking at this for me. And
absolutely.
I know this isn't your typical Kahler stuff, but since it's inter-family, I guess Gary makes exceptions for us.
Yeah. Well, let's see. And this is I think it's a 25-inch scale length. Is that? Nope. Okay. 24 and a half. What we'll do here is get this thing up and just kind of prop it here.
I'll hold it here.
Okay, so now just kind of look, and you see how straight that is? But you see we got a little bit of a rock.
A little bit, yeah.
So that's why we've got that buzz. I really do think that the best answer is going to be to put some heavier strings on. Let's see what we got. Let's see. That's way too heavy.
What number are those?
Oh, those went up to like 84 or something like that, because they were for a bass 6.
So they sound like a bass string.
Yeah. Now let's see. Chromes. These are all flat wounds. I don't think you would like flat wounds.
Probably not.
Am I going to have to build? Aha. Okay.
You have quite a string collection here.
Oh, I love having a string drawer. These right here are for baritone.
Yeah.
These are kind of what your average Gibson. So let's see. You know what this probably is light top, heavy bottom. I'll bet you that's what that is.
You know why? Probably for thumb picking.
Yeah.
Because, Chet Atkins thumb picking style.
I think maybe the string drawer will have even more answers for us. Yeah, this is going to sound like a Kahler commercial, but we make so many different bridges, 10-string, multi-scale, stuff like that we
strings.
Oftentimes we'll have to kind of come up with our own. So I like the idea of shout out to Glenn Fricker.
Yeah.
These are his signature strings.
You got him on the show here, didn't you?
Yeah, he's helping us with the Judas Priest auction guitar. My God,
He's got some heavy lower end strings, doesn't he?
Yeah.
54.
42, 54. This is exactly what I was looking for.
He's light on the top and heavy on the low.
Thank you, Glenn Fricker.
So he must like the real heavy low end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to shock load this guitar. The poor thing has been...
It's been under a lot of stress.
It's had some issues.
Let's see how that does. I thought that went through, but
no, it just... I've got a giant book on Paul Bigsby. He was really smart. He was a motorcycle racer.
Well, I didn't know that, but now I like him more.
Yeah.
I used to race motorcycles a little bit.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You know what? I've decided that I am going to take all this off, and we're going to kind of condition the fretboard because I feel bad for it.
It needs a little love.
It does. We'll find out. I'm just going to kind of polish these frets. Now, this is something that...
This may have never been done since 1962.
Well, if ever after it left the factory. I have no idea if it ever has. This right here could make a lot of people start to freak out because most people will tape off the fretboard and then they'll polish the
fret.
They'll polish the fret and then they'll take the tape off of that and then they'll polish the fretboard, going the opposite way. And one of the guys that I learned from really early, I saw him doing this and I freaked out. Well, what are you doing? You got tape off. And he looked at me and said, what do you use to clean the fretboard? And I was like, quadruple zero steel wool. And he was like, what do you use to polish the frets? Quadruple zero steel wool.
Same stuff.
So what are you doing?
Glad you put this over the pick because I see the magnet grabbing the steel wool.
Yes, indeed. In fact, here, check this out. See, now here's what you do after this is you take that one piece that didn't have any of those filings on it, and you trap them in the other one, and now they can't. This is like a roach motel. This is naphtha.
Naphtha.
Does it smell familiar? It's very powerful aroma, right?
It smells like acetone or something. Not quite.
Lighter fluid.
Oh yeah.
Zippo lighter fluid.
Lighter fluid. That's what.
And check it out. It is like the safest thing to use to clean your guitar.
That's how much that thing's faded. Look at that.
You can really see it.
You can see it now.
I mean, it's kind of cool that you do, though. Let's see.
It was a pretty color. You notice he's got a horseshoe on the headstock?
Yeah, no kidding.
The old Gretsch was like the country cowboy.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you, this kind of came off.
Oh, I know it did.
So
I was kind of hoping this one would, too. In fact,
don't we want the little thing not touching?
Oh, I'm going to reintroduce it.
To some glue?
Yes.
This one's still on.
Though I do have to say that these Glenn Fricker SMG S.I.T strings, they are really doing the job on this Gretsch. They're pulling the backbow out. There's just the teeniest, tiniest little bit, but it's tuned to A440 right now, and it's holding, and the intonation is good, and everything seems good. So I'm going to go and wait for Randy to get back, see what he has to say. What do you think? Happy?
Well, I haven't got to play this guitar ever, other than buzzing, since I was a little kid, so I'm extremely happy. And I'm hoping to play it through the old Fender Bassman very, very soon, like tonight. That shows you Eddie doesn't just install Kahlers, he also works on Bigsby's.
Hey, you know what? In order to make the best, you've got to know how everything works.
I like the feel of this. I
Awesome.
want to play it a lot. Thank you so much, Eddie.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Seriously, thank you.